Live from the Cactus Creek at Ibri, he is the king of prime time, Ghana's undisputed entertainment laureate, and still the youngest old man in Ghana. Put your hands together, show some love for the indefatigable KSM.
The KSM Show.
Hello! I am so excited, man. I'm very, very excited. I'm extremely excited, especially when I'm introducing a guest and I can say boldly, my guest needs no introduction. You know, sometimes you have to read the whole history because you people don't know the guest. I don't have this particular problem on this particular show. My guest, the little bit I want you to know was that she is the chancellor of a university in Zimbabwe called Women's University. Guess what? She's the first female, or was the first female chancellor of the University of Cape Coast. The first female minister of education. I think you know what I'm talking about now. And right now, she is the first announced vice presidential candidate for a major party. Ladies and gentlemen, show some love as you've never before. Naana Jane. There you go. There. Please.
Thanks.
She's in the house. We're taking a short commercial break. When we come back, stick around. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
Okay, folks, happy Mother's Day to all you darling, beautiful mothers, mothering us all away. May 12th is Mother's Day, and Cactus Creek is preparing a special, some exquisite local taste for you on Mother's Day. So please make sure you join us on Mother's Day. And for those of you who want to pamper your moms, call Cactus and book a spa session where they'll have a full-fledged massage. Let me give you the number to call, 055-039-5007. Happy Mother's Day.
Is it the luxurious rooms? Or the serene green surroundings? Is it the tempting swimming pool? Or the classy conference room? Or the cute gift shop? Maybe it's our chef's array of cooking delights. Whichever way, it's all about Cactus Creek. A most respected hotel. 055 039 5007.
KSM Show.
My name is Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. I have almost been following the program of KSM for the past 20 years. It's a program I've always been watching carefully. In fact, before he came on Pan-African, he used to be on another station, I can't remember now, where the program had been so interesting. And I will call on all Ghanaians who are very much interested in objectivity and also the history of this country to always watch this program. It's a program that is educative and very, very, very interesting. Thank you.
Nana, may I call you Nana? I don't know what to say. Her Excellency Nana. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
What's the feeling like?
Well, it's a mixture of many feelings. It's a feeling of gratitude. It's a feeling of anxiety.
Gratitude and anxiety.
Yes. It's also a feeling of, what word do I use when you want to look at the enormity of the responsibility?
Mm.
So it is not just that, you know, you are hiring the brass band to, to sing your praises, but you also are aware of the responsibility involved. So it's a mixture of many.
Does that scare you sometimes?
No.
No, it doesn't scare you.
It doesn't scare me.
No.
Because, you know that you're not going to be working by yourself or alone, and that even though expectations are extremely high, you know that you're going to be in the company of many others who also want same things as you do. And therefore, the sense of collective responsibility to some level is comforting, if I may put it that way. Yeah.
Wow. Now, this is the question I want to ask you this, you know. We have two clips. Folks, take a look at these two clips very, very quickly.
Now, do allow me to tell you a little bit about myself, very briefly. I'm Naana Jane. I think that's news. I was born in Cape Coast, a town with rich and intriguing connections to the Ghanaian story. My parents come from the holy city of Komenda. Remember the Komenda Sugar Factory? They are called Kofi Nyame in Abata.
But never have we experienced the levels of greed, unbridled arrogance, unrestrained impunity, sheer dishonesty, barefaced hypocrisy, incompassion, as displayed by this incumbent government over the past 6 years and more.
Well, the first clip was her first nomination and how she was speaking, and the second clip was the one you saw recently. And Nana, let me ask you, the difference between the first and the second, the first one you sounded like a professor. You sounded professorial, very academic, nice, cool. Second one, hey, just the more.
I'm paying.
Hey! The second one was like a nationalist on some campaign, you know, no more shit. You compare the two, and what has caused that major difference?
I think that whether it's a speech or action, will be dictated by the time, the place, the context. In 2020, if you listen to the clip, and I believe you have, you'll see that I spent a considerable amount of time introducing myself. I was coming from the campus, from the ministry, and on the campus, let's say that it was a smaller republic, if I may use the word. And I had grown on the campus, I'd spent all my life on the campus, and so I was known in a certain context. Then branching out to the ministry, again, my focus was the ministry, and therefore, that is where I worked. Now you move to the ministry, onto the national stage. And you shouldn't assume that everybody knows you. And therefore, you have to introduce yourself to people. So maybe this is what you call the academic or professorial, however defined. And then you move on and you stay in that position for a while. The elections are over. You keep your eyes open, your ears on the ground. You are also affected like others are about development. And then you have a chance to play that role again. You cannot speak like you were doing the previous time. As if nothing has happened, as if you don't care, as if you don't know. And then where have you been? And why would anybody entrust you to a position of this nature if like you've been asleep? So it is a question of the context, it's a question of the time, it's the question of the space. Time and space will really determine, you know, the kind of emphasis you put on that role.
Okay.
So I think perhaps that accounts
that accounts for the second one, fire.
I'm just referring to things we all know.
Okay.
I agree. So
yeah. And during the time, the last election you were nominated, and this one, there was a period. And during that period, there was a lot of talk on the street. Oh, Jem Besisano, you know. Jem Fanu Kubio, you know, one deliver, what you say, all sorts of things going around. Did you hear any of them?
Oh, I heard lots of them.
Lots of them?
Yes. And you see, I found them interesting in the sense that I also asked myself, so what did the public expect of that announcement? You know, what was she supposed to deliver? And what didn't she deliver? So for me, it was a learning experience. And my wish was to have engaged more people than I did. What exactly do you mean? You know, where are you coming from? You know, what's the issue? What do you expect a vice presidential candidate to do? You know, so it was a learning experience. Some said, oh, we thought you would come and be able to throw the government off and bring us in power, which is a good expectation. So exactly how did you expect? What was the process? You know, what did you expect to have been done? And where do you think I went wrong? Because you must also accept that you're not perfect, and people will judge you by what their own expectations are. So if you know what the expectations are, if you know they are legitimate, if you know they are possible, you go ahead. You know, so I didn't take it in bad faith.
Okay.
No.
In all this period, was there a time that James had to assure you, Nana, stay on one alcohol, or did you sense that he was also going through a thinking process?
Listen, what I knew was the party's own way of doing things. For example, it is the flag bearer who decides. It is his decision, and we must leave him alone to make that decision, not to prejudge the time. Assuming things changed, I don't know, a month, and he had assured you 3 months earlier, then what's he going to do? You know, so you join this group, there's so much work you are doing, just keep focused and get the job done. And actually, you know, it's not as if you came in with the intention that you'll be nominated as a vice presidential candidate. That, at the ministry, none of that ever crossed my mind. You know, I'd just been asked to do a job, and I was trying to do it to the best of my ability. That was it. Okay, so we exited early 2017. There were other things we needed to do. We just continued doing them, you know. And I don't think it's a question of, or at least for me, oh, I'm determined to play this role and therefore. And if you don't play, then what happens? It means you don't like the group anymore, or you came for a self-promotion, and therefore it didn't happen, so you are angry. then people should question why you were even there in the first place.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I remember way back 2012, they're having this presidential debate. And among the moderators questioning the candidates was you and Kojo Ponkroma.
You see,
do you remember?
I remember too well. And it's a long story to that. You know, I'd handed over, my term as Vice Chancellor had come to an end. And I had handed over that date, which was 1st October. And I was heading out to UNESCO. And at UNESCO, we have long meetings. It's a 3-week stretch. And so I told myself, this time I'm going to give UNESCO my fullest attention. Because I'm not going to worry what's happening on campus, call my registrar every day, Pro-VC, is everything okay? I'm just going to focus because I'm done.
Okay.
So I went off to UNESCO. We started our meetings, and not too long afterwards, I got a message from the secretariat that I've been getting some phone calls. Somebody says it's urgent. I said, what has happened? Is there a problem I should know? So I quickly called the line, and I spoke to somebody, name withheld, and was telling me about this interview. And I said, listen, do you guys know the kind of work that should go into this? Because at a previous time, I think I've been requested to do something similar. And I said, listen, right now, I don't know their manifestos. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know where they're coming from, because I had to do it for each of the parties. CPP was there. Honorable Ayariga's party was there. NPP was there. NDC was there. So just reading, what's the history, what has been the trend, why are they here, what do they want to do, And I said, listen, I'm tired, and I'm here. This organization is not an easy one. We have long meetings. I don't know where I'm going to begin. So listen, look for someone else. And then they persisted and said, when you come back home, then you'll know why. Fortunately, at the time, I was chairing the graphic board. And I remember raising the issue that, listen, we shouldn't get to the position where people are saying, no, because you're a government newspaper, you always play to the side of the government and so on. So let us find reporters that will follow whoever comes to, head any party. Is not our problem. But let's make sure that the reporting is fair, so there are no rejoinders and so many things. So, and that is what saved me. And I didn't know then that I was doing that, that I'll benefit from it. So I called and said, pick these 4 parties that are going to participate and go through graphic. Whatever they have said, Xerox them for me, send them to Cape Coast. So I went to Cape Coast, and the piles were, I don't remember working so hard. And I said, why am I working for another degree or something? The papers were spread all over the place. This room is for CPP and so, because I don't want, the usual things we do for field research. So the interviews began. And fortunately, we had a questions bank, because they had asked the people what they wanted to ask. And then we went in there, and when the whole thing was ended, CPP said I was too harsh on them. NPP said I was too harsh. I'm telling you. You asked our candidate hard questions. Everybody complained. And that told me that I was fair. Because it means that I was consistent with each candidate.
The same accusation.
And at the time, I didn't know that I was ever going to work with His Excellency John Mahama in that close. I saw him as one more person at that debate, and I think the questions were fairly distributed, to the candidates. And
so let me get this right. The question, you went through the whole pile and selected your own questions, or?
No. What I wanted to know was, what has been reported about them? Okay. And then also to give me everybody's manifesto, let's say the past couple of times, So, so I read them, but I didn't study the NDCs as closely because I was just doing it for the interview. So if there's a question on health, what have they been saying? What has been the trend for CPP on health till now? How about this one? How about that? Just to have enough information. As you know, I mean, you are an interviewer, and you know that an interview can have its own life. Okay.
True.
Even if you have your question,
Yeah.
how about the follow-up?
True.
Until the respondent answers a certain way, you wouldn't know how to follow up.
Yeah.
And if you don't do your homework well, if you don't do your homework well enough, even, you know, the interview might not come out as well as you should. So I needed to have a sense of exactly what was going on with each of the delegates,
Okay.
you know, in order to...
Speaking
carry
of
on.
that, speaking of a detailed study of whatever you're going to talk about or deal with, let me ask, how much detail, conviction have you put to invest now being the vice presidential candidate for the NDC? What has the NDC done? What in your research? What is the track record of NDC that makes you comfortable to take a position like this?
In the first place, I know that it's a complex area, but because they emphasize social democratic credentials, I find that attractive. I believe very, very deeply that society must be built from the bottom up. I don't think equality is important, but I find equity even more attractive. There are people who need more than others. As the elders tell us, not all our fingers are the same. And the smallest finger didn't decide to be the smallest finger, just found itself that way. And if we must all play on a certain field, you must make it possible for everybody to come on board, okay? Even if you just take the height, some will need 3 more blocks to stand on, others may not need them. And therefore, everything I've also done, teaching and so on, students will come from different backgrounds and all of that. You need to be sensitive and you need to be able to support those who might not be as strong. So when we introduce things like counseling, we introduce tutorials and all of that, I'm very, very much interested. And you'll notice that all some need is just a little push, you know. So I came with the same idea to the ministry. And so paying attention to the public basic schools was very important for me. You know, so yes, a lot of parents are voting with their money out of that system and putting their children in private schools. Every parent wants the best for their child, and there's nothing wrong with it. But how about the child who is coming from an environment where that is not possible? It doesn't mean that you should leave him. Give him that opportunity also. So for me, those are the things that I found attractive. Extending water. Some of us may have taken it for granted. Just turn on the tap and it's there. For some, it's like walking miles just to fetch water that is not even purified. And therefore, if you pay attention, or if there's a government paying attention to these are the social interventions we ought to be interested in. The water, the light, the road, the food, you know, just trying to make life a little bit more interesting, if I may use it that way, a little less burdensome. That for me was an attraction. You know, I'm not saying the others are doing it or not doing it, but because they've made it their focus, that will be there for ordinary people. It resonated very well with me. Yeah.
An interesting observation, now that you're talking about this, in terms of being social democrats, as opposed to property-owning democracies. Strangely enough, under MPP, they have had some social intervention going on, like was it the leap or the flip and NHIS, National Health, you know. These don't they count as social intervention programs
that to make comparison? I was just talking about philosophical foundations. If it's about making property, if it's about property and getting rich, then we know the group to which this really benefits. Okay, so if it's, we all know the history of the health insurance, where it started and where it's ended. I don't know if right now it's working very well, you know, so it means there are challenges with them. I believe in giving people the training to be able to fish, and not so much giving them fish. So yes, every government will have these interventions. But you see, if I live in a place where I don't have water, I don't have electricity, it means that the lack of clean water can even compromise my health. Do you get it? It can compromise the work I do. It can even mean that I'm not able to fetch enough even to clean my own home. It's possible. Do you get it? So we need to look at these interventions, not so much on the surface of them, but in how they travel to that level. And that for me is the attraction. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So now you're knee deep in this now. Well, Vice President candidate, yes, I'm at form. Yes, and one question I want to ask you is this: from where you sit, in your speech, you talked about many things, including that we need a reset as a nation. Yeah. From where you sit, what has taken place to the point that we now need a reset to correct things?
Listen, we decided that we want democracy. We did. What are the features? Is it free speech? Is it happening? Is it free expression? Is that happening? Is it about lack of intimidation? Is that what we are seeing? Is it about people abusing their power? You see, the thing is that human beings being who they are, you can never tell how anybody is going to end up until they act. And I think there's a good reason why the brain is inside the head and it's not outside of it. And that is also part of the reason why our elders say that the head is not like a pawpaw. You can't just slice it. Shakespeare says there's no art to tell the mind's construction on the face. So it's when they act. So if the actions, the activities going on, nobody explains anything, people are shut down, some are going into exile, just by asking questions, then things will have to change. You see, if, for example, I go to court, I have a case with somebody, let's say I lose, but I'm convinced that I got justice. You can lose in peace, and it's okay. You know, let's say we are competing over something. You may get it, I may get it. But once I know that the rules are clear, they are not in favor of one person against another, then when I lose, I don't have a problem. And the winner will also know that he has won and has the confidence to carry on with the reasons why he or she contested in the first place. Where you have a sense that that is not happening, it doesn't help. And so you know that, no, all of these things, we have to look at them again and do the right thing by everybody. When people don't feel that, or when people feel rather that they are being ignored, that they are not being respected, that they're being discriminated against, it doesn't make for a peaceful society. And so you need to look at again and ask yourself, so what are we about?
And that's what you feel is happening? That
we all know that is what is happening. I don't want to isolate you and say you know it. You know, so...
Okay, so going on what you have said, so we all know that is what is happening. There's not the justice that you're looking for. There's not the freedom to speak as you want to. There's fear or maybe intimidation. If what you're saying is what we all know, how come we are all eerily quiet? You don't seem to hear anybody complaining.
I'm glad you are saying we are quiet. And I wish you will switch chairs so you'll tell me why you think we are but then you see, they all are to the disappointment. You see, there are people we respect so much, deeply. There are positions we respect so much, regardless who occupies that position. There are associations we love so much, we entrust them. There are all kinds of leaders in all kinds of positions that, whose opinions we accept. And so when those people now tend to be, using your word, quiet, in the face of things that are bothering everyone, it is very disturbing. Then you get confused. Maybe I shouldn't have trusted them, or maybe they only see the things that KSM does and not what Naana does. If you're running your own home and you want to have your favorite child and you're not favorite child, it means you've decided you don't want peace in the house because you won't get it. What you are doing is to provoke the other person you think you don't like to try and get your attention. And he'll use any means to get your attention. Assuming you are fair, there'll be calm, there'll be peace. So I think all of that adds to the disappointment. That, but we used to hear X talk a lot. So where is he? What's going on? Why is he quiet? Because you see, those voices are very important. As, again, you are making the path, you can't tell whether it's crooked or not. Somebody straightens you. And all of a sudden, that person is like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. But we are not saying they should speak evil. Speak truth, see truth.
If they argue that truthfully, we don't see any evil.
That's fine.
That's fine.
We won't listen to them anymore. That's what it is. You see, they are reducing their own credibility. And it's not funny. Because somebody, or maybe there's a different method for this one, and there's a different method. That lack of consistency, rather, is not helpful. Because then it doesn't help the public to define who you are. You see? So it adds to the disappointment.
We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, one of the things that I keep thinking, I'm not going to say it now. Your commercial break. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
Okay, folks, happy Mother's Day to all you darling, beautiful mothers, mothering us all away. May 12th is Mother's Day, and Cactus Creek is preparing a special, some exquisite local taste for you on Mother's Day. So please make sure you join us on Mother's Day. And for those of you who want to pamper your moms, call Cactus and book a spa session where they'll have a full-fledged massage. Let me give you the number to call, 055-039-5007. Happy Mother's Day.
Is it the luxurious rooms? Or the serene green surroundings? Is it the tempting swimming pool? Or the classy conference room? Or the cute gift shop? Maybe is our chef's array of cooking delights. Whichever way, it's all about Cactus Creek. A most respected hotel. 055 039 5007.
Hi, my name is Angela Mantle, a massage therapist at Cactus Creek. My job is simply to pamper you with the 3 R's, to relax you, to revitalize you, and to rejuvenate you. Come and let me pamper you.
055 039 5007.
Most of you are loving my jacket. Mr. Sao, I am if a rough. The jacket is provided by KSM Essentials. So if you want some, this is the number to call.
0247 661983.
So call KSM and get yourself a pretty decent jacket.
The KSM Show.
Hey, I'm Dr. Hannah Louisa Bisukote, National Men's Organizer, NDC. KSM is the name, the king of prime time, and Ray the prime time. Keep watching KSM. The best place to be, the best show to watch is KSM, and Ray the prime time.
We're back, and we're hanging out with Jane, Naana, Her Excellency, or someone in front of her. So let's look at Naana Jane Opoku Ajima. Was it Jane Naana or Naana Jane?
Naana, formally. It's the students who brought this Naana Jane.
Oh, really? Great. Before the commercial break, we're talking about voices that have somewhat mellowed, you know. And I'm thinking, well, we know, all of us know, including the voices and the non-voices know, that under JM they were very, very, very loud. I don't want to mention the groups. We all know who we are. But very, very, very loud noises. Somehow, under Nanado, they are very, very quiet, very, very silent. Maybe they are quiet and silent because to them, the country is now going in the direction that they want. And so, if the NDC should come back to power, then the voices will rise up again. You hope not?
No.
Okay, my question I was going to ask, what did they do?
Wait, I'll come to that.
Okay.
Those voices are not that quiet.
They are not that quiet?
No. Watch what they do, what they say when Mahama speaks. Even till today. If he says anything, they are there. They will speak. most of the time, the associations and so on, it's only when Mahama has spoken. So, okay, so now coming to your question. So you come and now you're speaking. It is your own credibility that you have dimmed in the eyes of the public. Whether the public will go with you like they used to or not will be for the public to decide. Okay? Because you saw things going wrong and you decided to keep quiet. And so now, are you going to speak because things are going wrong, or are you going to speak because for other reasons? So you see, it will make it difficult for those who used to listen to them because they respected them so much, and who now feel disappointed to extend the same level of attention, of respect to them. If the strategies are, oh, now we are engaging them privately, it's okay. Just continue. Just be consistent. But you can't have one method for one and another method for another. When you do that, very few people will take you seriously going forward. And what they would have succeeded in doing is to discredit the position they hold.
They're going to discredit the position?
And I think that's very serious. Because you see, maybe it's not a position of your own creation. You came and found it. You leave, other people will come. And if people associate lack of consistency with that position, it's very unhelpful. Because society must have watchdogs. You cannot come into public office anywhere, at any level, and think that you are so right, everybody is wrong, and what you say is what should go. It doesn't work like that. As we started this conversation, we said we have accepted that we will run a democratic governance. If that's the case, then how come you're shutting these doors and you only open them as they suit you or as they suit the nation? In whose interest have you been making that noise? And in whose interest have you been keeping quiet? What examples are we setting? So for me, they raise very serious issues. They raise issues about nation building. They raise issues about nationalism. They raise issues about trust, about respect, about all these pillars that we need to build a strong, resilient nation. Okay. Yeah. So that is why I think it's a serious matter.
Okay. One thing I'm very also curious to find out is, sitting here right now, you said a lot about what you think the state of Ghana is and why you think there needs to be a reset. What, in your own words, if you were to give me like 3 minutes or 2 minutes delivering the state of the nation right now, what would you say is the state of the nation today?
Fortunately, whatever I'll say is not what I see only by myself. We know we are not sitting pretty, as I said. We know, let's take cost of living. When you have inflation shooting up to the 50s, nobody's salary had moved that fast. And therefore, people will be living a lower quality of life. Already we are struggling. We are called a developing country. There are many things we lack that we should have had maybe by now, but we don't. That's the reality. So you need to look at the quality of life and find ways of raising that quality. So the quality of life is not that high. So that is one characteristic of the state in which we are living. Another one will be just the freedom to be. It's as if we are getting to the level where you can't even speak. You know, and that's a very bad sign. I'm not saying we should speak, as Ghanaians say, by heart. Insulting each other never solved any problem. Actually, we're not even raised that way. Okay? But you ought to be able to make your point. So if it's about just closing radio stations, nobody should talk and so on and so forth, people should only say what I want to hear, It's dangerous in the end. Okay, that is also part of it. In terms of our institutions that are supposed to hold everyone in check. A case comes, Yoko says this, ECG. I mean, you don't even know where things are at. And yet each was set up for a reason. Where is that reason? Is the reason playing out? So as an ordinary citizen, who should I trust? Where should I turn to? And if you are creating a state where people are continuously bewildered and confused and not trusting the institutions they should be using, you are veering towards people just taking the law into their hands. And that is also very dangerous. And these are all things we need to move away from. Let people know that they've been fairly treated. It's okay. Let's not say that, oh, 8 people have been shot dead because they went to vote and it's okay. And somebody says, oh, they are criminals. Is that how even criminals are supposed to be treated? Just to be shot and nobody says anything about it. So a certain feeling out there that is not healthy. You know, so next time, okay, so if I'm going, then what do? I need to protect myself. It's not about protecting yourself. You have an agency supposed to protect you. And if things are going wrong and the protective agency or the agency that is supposed to protect you has failed in its role, and the entire government machinery doesn't seem to see anything wrong with it, then it emboldens individuals to begin to do things that you may say are illegal. But who should have ensured that the legal things were done? So these are some of the things we need to move away from.
I just want to pick that one example you made, those innocent people that were shot and branded as criminals, no evidence, nothing, just somebody stating that, you know. And there was no uproar from society. Or I didn't see like headlines, people disgusted with what has happened. And
yes, if half the radio stations have been closed down, and for a reason, those that were not closed down, what do you think they will say? If you have our leaders that used to be, as you said, they were quiet. Why were they quiet? So when we say we didn't hear, who should have done that? You know, and I have a very bad experience with that one. There was this child, I may say, who was shot in Ododo. So I went to see the mother. And it's something that always stays in my mind. You know, even as we go to celebrate Mother's Day, I always think of her. You know, so I went to her to commiserate. She said, my daughter, she's not even at the age where you vote. She just heard they were counting and she wanted to go and watch.
wow.
And then so I go and sleep. And then people are coming to tell me my daughter is dead. You know, I said, madam, what does it mean? Is she the one that should have gone in the streets demonstrating? Or did the whole society say it's okay, so, you know? No, these are very serious matters. You know?
Okay. I grabbed the point you're making, you know. I was expecting somehow, at least, we have the Ghana Bar Association, we have the Journalists Association, we have distinguished, you know, organizations, agencies.
Where are
We
they?
have the Occupy whatever. Weren't they supposed to speak? I think at any point in time, somebody should say something. I'm not saying everybody, the whole mass Ghana, everybody complaining about. All we need is for, let's say, GBA to say, no, we have taken a position on this, and that alone shakes the nation. Or
So
the
then,
GJA.
you see, it reveals the association in a way you may never have thought. And that is part of the disappointment, you know, because as you say, you expected. You know, if they even offered legal support to the mother, it would have been okay. So how come it didn't happen that way? And so if as I said, you know, at the risk of repeating myself, if the groups, associations, individuals, and so on, we trusted so much, are now doing things that make us doubt who they are, it's very dangerous for the society.
Okay. Point well taken. Let's move on here. I talk about the state of the nation as we are now in terms of our finances as a nation. I know we are currently the most indebted towards IMF and things like that, you know. This is the question I'm asking though. Even though it's advantageous for those parties not in government to campaign, say the economy has been wrecked, there's no money, there's this, there's that, a whole lot of complaints. And I'm talking about any party that is not part of the government. The government may defend it, but all those other parties will say, no, sika bienho, sika nashi, you know. And yet, Nana, my problem is that sika nashi, but all of them have major campaign promises that have to be, or that cannot be accomplished from an economy that has money and for people to spend the money to do various programs. What do you think about that? The promises against the current state of...
You see, in the first place, the current state of the economy is felt by everyone.
Yes.
Or is felt by many.
Okay.
And I believe many, regardless their parties. When we had our older people go to the finance ministry to pick it, it was a very bad moment. You watch your older relatives do this, and then they have to tell the whole world what they want their money for. I think it was a very low point. Nobody ought to go through that. And I'm not sure if we looked at their political affiliations at the time. We talk about the price of food and so on. It's affecting many, many. Maybe just a few may not be affected.
Yeah.
The fact that we are not paying our debts is very, very serious. The fact that part of the success is to negotiate our debt forward is not a funny story. So these are all things that you need to factor in as you move forward. So I don't think anybody is going to say, to make promises that are outrageous, if I may put it that. In fact, the public doesn't even expect that. And I'm, in a way, glad that we are not looking at those promises that we know are not even achievable, just to win votes. People are now beginning to ask serious questions about why you want to come into power. But you know, it's also a question of taking note of your reality and moving accordingly. So if you have, let's say, something small left, or you can begin with some, you know, just look at where you are. You are in debt. You are not even paying your debts. The debts are growing. You keep borrowing. Things are just not looking good. So what do? Do you throw your arms up in despair? Or do you say, okay, maybe I can begin with food. Maybe it will take 3 months to grow most vegetables. Can I start with that? You see? So you start doing the things that are real. We, NDC laid strong foundation for the digital economy to take off in this country. How do you turn that around? We have all kinds of fintech programs. I mean, people coming up. Very exciting. What do they need? How do I ensure that their businesses will grow? For how long can I tax people? You know, it's the same amount. Cost of living rising. They are not able to catch up. Keep taxing them. Where will that end? What can I produce quickly? Where do I begin? You know? In the immediate term, mid-term and long-term. That is why this country must take seriously the whole idea of a long-term planning. We must plan long-term. Otherwise, we're never going to get out of this mess. So if somebody begins by paying attention to primary school, that's long-term planning. He's not going to vote. That's not what matters. It's part of your long-term. And you can match that curriculum with where you think you should be in your economy by the time he begins to work. That is long-term planning. You know, you must envisage what kind of Ghana do we want to see in 40 years' time. It's not about you. What do we want to see in 40 years' time? Which of the areas? Can we pick 4 broad areas? Can we pick food? That's the first necessity of life. Can we continue with clothing? How about shelter? How about other infrastructure? Let's stay this course for 10 years and let's see where Ghana will be.
So lack of planning.
And let's raise our public education to the level that people going to vote will be looking at those in people's manifestos. Can we do that? Why can't we? You think it's for nothing that the European countries came together to form the EU? It wasn't for nothing. Have we bothered even to look at their master plan and then see where every country is pulling that master plan from? Why can't we do so? You know, the AU has done the Africa We Want 2063. How many of us even bothered to read it or talk about it? We are interested in the SDGs. 15 years. I'm not saying they are bad things. They are not. But that's for the globe. How about your peculiar situation? If the SDG is saying that, oh, by 2030, every child, you know, should have been in school. There are countries that have crossed that line 30 years ago. So you are perpetually going to be evaluated as a bottom, and the little confidence we have to be going, will be running away along with that. Without confidence, what do you do? You know? So I'm very happy about the fact that they were not crafted like the MDGs. And now you can, you know, you can mold your program from it. And people have done that work for you. Are they you? You see, so there are many things that we need to do to reset our country, to reset our continent, to interrogate our borders. These are artificial borders. How can Togo do so well, Ghana is not doing well? We'll go there. Yeah. So instead of enforcing let us interrogate these artificial borders and see what we can do together.
These are nice, you know. They sound like good rhetoric. It's good to hear. It makes good listening.
Good rhetoric, but steps have been taken. We had ECOWAS. ECOWAS is there. Now we have countries saying they are getting out. Why are they getting out?
Because it's been counted as a very toothless bulldog. They have no respect for ECOWAS, so they want to get out.
So sit them down. How do we get a stronger ECOWAS? Why do you think it's in your interest to belong to a group and not to stand on your own? So that is begging for a certain dialogue that we must have. They'll ask you, where was ECOWAS when they were struggling? Fine, ECOWAS didn't do well. How can ECOWAS do better? You know, so you have Gambia and Togo, everybody, you know. Where does that happen? It doesn't happen anywhere.
Wow.
And then we'll be here running a small country called Ghana as if it's the United States of America or 50 states. How is that going to work? I don't see it working as well as we think it should.
This is getting too exciting for me to let you go right now. Even though my time is up, but why? Just let me keep her again for just 30 minutes, then we will wrap it up, you know. But for this episode, folks, you've heard her. And so in the next episode, if you are watching on TV, it's coming on Sunday. But this is what I want to talk about. In her speech, she spoke about a lot of things. Very, very, very important things. And in the next edition, I just want to find out a few of the so many things she said, especially the warning to the EC. Very, very important thing that we must get into. Plus many, many things that I want to talk to her about. So in the meantime, until we come your way again, I have to sign off here and say I am out of. Let the whole world say, yeah.
The KSM Show.